How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Xander here with another video. Fujifilm has just unveiled the long-awaited and much-rumored Fujifilm X-H2S at this morning's May 2022 X Summit. Along with another version of the X-H to be unveiled at another date, we got a batch of new lenses as well. In today's video, I will be discussing these new announcements, so let's jump right into it. Welcome back, everyone. If you're new to the channel, my name is Xander. I primarily shoot outdoors content and offer tech and tutorials for video production. So if you're interested in my content, definitely hit the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel as well, and let's jump right into it. Fujifilm finally announced the brand new Fujifilm X-H2S, the successor to the X-H1 camera. The new X-H2S is sporting a brand new 5th generation X-Trans CMOS sensor, which is a stacked sensor. This new sensor is clocked in to be around 4 times stronger than the 4th generation X-Trans sensor found on the Fuji X-T4 that I'm shooting today's video on. The X-H2S comes with a 26.1 megapixel sensor, and the X-H, which is going to be showcased in this year's September 2022 X Summit, is rumored to be releasing later this year with a 40 megapixel sensor. So that camera is definitely targeted at your more hardcore photographers. There is so much to digest from this morning's X Summit. I am ecstatic that Fujifilm's mission seems to be shifting more to the hybrid shooter. And I absolutely love that Fuji is committing more to video production, and the tools built into the X-H2S look super promising. The in-body stabilization of the X-H2S now offers up to 7 stops for image stabilization and a digital stabilization processor of 5-axis stabilization, which makes this camera such an awesome run and gun type of shooter. You might not even need to even consider putting this camera on a gimbal. That's how good it seems to be. For video, we are getting 6.2K at 30 frames per second, and now we can even go 4K with 120 frames per second, and we also get the 240 frames per second in HD. And just a note, the 4K 120 frames per second and the 240 frames per second HD do not record audio. You have no idea how happy this makes me. For someone that enjoys shooting wildlife and outdoors, video production quality just got insanely better with these specs. Fuji has also committed to a much improved and more reliable autofocusing system, which is all we've been asking for. Our prayers have been answered. Their new processor seems to have a brand new autofocusing algorithm kicking in the background, and it looks insanely great. And we're getting all sorts of autofocus priority subject categories to choose from. The X-H2S allows us to choose between animal, autofocus detect, birds, automobiles, bikes, planes, and even trains. So I can't wait to test out this camera myself and test out these autofocus priority subjects. And from what I've seen already, the initial reviews out on YouTube, for instance DP Review, the autofocus seems to be super fast and buttery smooth, and this processor seems to back up what they are selling. We also do get a brand new F-Log Mode 2, which offers more dynamic range. I enjoy shooting all my content with my Fujifilm X-T4 in F-Log, and I love going in post and color grading all my content to give it its own flair or its own themes and tones. The fact that the new F-Log mode seems to offer much higher dynamic range is exciting. A couple of other honorable mentions are the new remote and wireless control systems being featured on the X-H2S. I see that as something that's great to have if you're a solo filmmaker. Perhaps you're at an event such as a recital or a wedding, and you have a couple X-H2Ss. And if you do, you might be a retired dentist, because that's a lot of money. So you're probably manning multiple cameras at this event, and you're able to control it wirelessly. And some of these, the new lenses too, offer digital zoom. That's great. You're able to man these cameras from a tablet or app of some sort, from what I understand, wirelessly. So that's great. You know, that's also something that could help out people who are into live streaming on YouTube or Twitch or any of these platforms, that you can direct your production without having to jump back and forth between your camera and setting your manual settings. I think that's phenomenal. I would have to read more into this wireless functionality to understand it better, but it seems pretty awesome. The X Summit also unveiled 2 more lenses, the 18 to 120 millimeter f4 zoom lens, as well as the 150 to 600 telephoto lens, which looks like an absolute monster for wildlife photography. That thing looks insane, and I think it's around 3.5 pounds. Don't quote me on that. That telephoto lens looks like it's a lot of fun, and I would love to get my hands on it and try it out. The new X-Trans 5 sensor looks like it's an absolute beast. It processes things at lightning speed, it seems. And the fact that Fujifilm finally heard us cry about their autofocusing, I am beyond excited. Again, I would have to get my hands on this camera, actually play around with it, test it out before I can actually sign off on this thing, but it looks very promising. The X Summit made it abundantly clear that Fujifilm is making a concerted effort to capture high motion subjects without sacrificing quality, and I think that's great. And the fact that they're trying to divide it between videography and photography and get that hybrid shooter balance, this is the perfect camera for content creators like me. People who like to be out in the outdoors, who like to capture landscape, wildlife, photography, and videography, and someone who never wants to miss a moment, especially when I'm out in the great outdoors capturing wildlife, or even shooting in the mountains for content, such as my Chasing the Narb series for snowboarding. This is the camera that's meant for content creators like me. The X-H2S is slated for a July release. You can pre-order it today, and it is priced at $2,499. Along with the XF 150 to 600 telephoto lens, that is also priced at $1,999, releasing this July. A lot to digest. There's probably a couple features I also didn't go over. I know that it does film 10-bit. We are also getting ProRes capabilities for filming. Let me know down in the comments, guys, what are you most excited about with the upcoming X-H2S? Personally, I think this camera might be the camera for me and others who are into shooting outdoors and wildlife content. Looking at you, camera conspiracies. I'm super excited. I gotta get my hands on this thing before I can say anything else. I was on the fence for last month or so. I wanted to get another camera with my X-T4, maybe make this camera my main video camera, especially for like talking head stuff. I was looking at the Olympus OM1 that was recently released, or the OM-D1 Mark III, OM1EM-D Mark III. These names are out of control, Olympus. You need to do better. Please. I wanted another camera to become a dedicated shooter for photography for my landscape and wildlife work, and then have this one as my vlog camera. But I might think about replacing the X-T4 with the X-H2S. I don't know yet. We'll see. We'll see. I might pull the trigger on that. Don't ask me about that fan. I'm not a fan of it. I just don't understand the fan. The fan makes sense if you're out there for hours continuously filming and you need the cooling accessory for that. It makes sense for live streaming, maybe. But do you really have to live stream in 4K nowadays on YouTube? I don't know. The fan also makes sense if you're just like, I guess, filming for these recitals or those kind of events, but it's such a ridiculous accessory in my opinion. But initial reviews seem to be that you don't really even need it. You might, I mean, like I said, for those situations, but to film 4K up to 30 minutes or 25 minutes without the fan accessory, that's fine for me. I mean, I never really filmed things for that long. I mean, I don't plan to use that camera, the X-H2S, mounted on my helmet for a top-to-bottom run of a mountain on snowboarding, and even then, that wouldn't take 25 minutes. Maybe, I don't know. Anyways, that's gonna wrap up today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm super stoked that we are getting this camera, and the X-H2S looks like a phenomenal hybrid shooter camera. That's gonna wrap up today's video. I'm Xander, and I'll catch y'all on the wild side.